Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. It's been a little while, guys. I haven't been around too much, just, dancing on Fridays and giving you my top 10 movie reviews. And outside of that, I've been kind of quiet since 2021 rolled around. 2021 is already super crazy, and not in the funnest of ways, and that certainly detracted a little bit. But if you remember, during my Mandalorian coverage, specifically when it ended, I was really, really excited to be able to sleep in on Fridays again, or at least sleep in to like a normal hour for me work-wise, not 3 o'clock in the morning. And in that excitement, I forgot that this show was only a couple weeks away. So I wanted to kind of take a little bit of the new year to just kind of recoup and re-energize myself, because am I going to need all the energy to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. But I'll tell you what, this show is fueling me with excitement and energy because it is so freaking good. Come on, it's on. She's over here. You know what we're talking about. So I ain't pull up a chair, man. Take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in spoiler-free into episodes 1 and 2 of WandaVision. That's right, man. The MCU is finally back after a year. An absolutely terribly tragic year of 2020, where not at the top of the list of like really bad things that happened, but because of, specifically one thing that was going on in the world, the pandemic, we had no Marvel movies in 2020 and no, Marvel Cinematic Universe content at all. First time since a really, really long time ago. And we are finally back with WandaVision, and we are back with a bang. Oh man, is this some of the most ambitious and interesting storytelling I have seen from Kevin Feige's MCU crew, man. What they've got going on with WandaVision is just absolutely wonderful, and it's everything I wanted it to be 2 episodes in, and the episodes are doing exactly what I was hoping they would do. They are delivering on pitch perfect sitcom comedy and writing and style. These first 2 episodes dive specifically into that 1950s realm of like the Leave It to Beaver, I Love Lucy sitcoms, and the 1960s realm of like Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie. And they nail the vibe specifically of those 2 eras throughout the 2 first episodes. I love all the things that they do from the sitcom side of things, from the style to the tone, to the manner of delivery and execution, and the types of jokes that they have. Very, very befitting for the 50s and 60s sitcom vibes, and they capture that essence so perfectly. And these episodes are laugh out loud funny. I mean, I was rolling the first episode. And that's what I wanted, man. I wanted these, based on what we were seeing in the trailers and with, the posters and the way it seemed like every episode was going to be a new era or new decade of sitcom television. I wanted that stuff because I love sitcom television. But I also wanted Marvel to make sure that they were hitting on what and I think everybody was hoping that this was going to kind of play into, which is that House of M storyline. How is the Marvel Cinematic Universe going to finally adapt the House of M? Something that I was eagerly hoping for when we got past, this first set of movies. Like, once we get to the end, of Phase 3, I hope we can go and dive into things like House of M or Secret Invasion, which, as we know, we are getting both of via series. The Nick Fury series, Secret Invasion, is the title, so we know that we're getting that. And WandaVision very much is the MCU's version of House of M. If you're familiar with the comics and the way in which Wanda kind of loses her mind, and that leads to her completely altering and manipulating reality in ways that, shake the entire Marvel universe in the comics. It's not as quite a big a scale here. I mean, I think we could figure that based on the fact that it was going to be a series that leads into a movie. But what they're doing, if you're familiar with that story, you can definitely get the House of M vibes. And if you have read that story and or rather, if you don't know, Wanda is sort of the main villain of that storyline. The way that she manipulates reality, like I said, shakes the whole comic universe. And I wanted that, man. I wanted to be uneasy. I wanted to be unsettled by Wanda, because this is a mental breakdown for her. I've said that since they announced the show, specifically announcing that the show would roll into the multiverse of madness. And I've said it since, the first trailer. If you're gonna go after a show like this, it's clearly, it's so wild in just the way that it's presented. Clearly, something is going on in Wanda's head, the way that she's reacting to the trauma of Vision dying twice, one at her hands, one at Thanos' hands. The fact that she was snapped away, and when she was snapped back, even though they saved the day, Vision was pre-snapped, so Vision is still dead. Having to deal with all of that stuff, you figured was gonna snap Wanda, and the show does a really, really good job of, like I said, buying into and delivering classic sitcom material, but also delivering on that unsettling uneasiness that you need to feel underneath all of the facade of whatever it is that we're getting. And whether it is Wanda being fully in control of Westview, our little suburb, sitcom suburb that we live in, or if it's outside forces. Much like the trailers, we don't know yet. We know that there are outside forces, and we know that, Wanda to some degree is inside of a self-contained bubble, in this suburb, based on what we've seen in the trailers. And I like that it's able to, like I said, play with that sitcom comedy, but have that unsettling uneasiness and that mystery. This is Marvel's first, real mystery. I'm not really sure. I obviously have theories and I have thoughts, and we'll talk about that in the spoiler, conversations. But as you watch this show, even some of the theories that we've had with, Kathryn Hahn, thinking she could be Agatha Harkness, we don't really know 2 episodes in, man. The show definitely is keeping you on its toes. And like I said, playing with that comedy and playing with that uneasiness and having this mystery at the middle of all of it, it is a really fascinating, interesting way to tell a story. And to tell it through this sitcom vision, it just works perfectly. And when you're talking about who we got leading here, with Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, and Paul Bettany as Vision, slam dunk knockouts. Wanda, I love how wonderfully charming and hysterical she is. Liz Olsen gets plenty of laughs, and she plays the sitcom housewife, or mom character really, really well. And she does just eat up the screen, man. You just enjoy everything she's doing with the character. And like I said, playing into that sitcom vibe, but also having that uneasy tone, the way they break into those moments to make you feel like that. A lot of it is driven through the way Liz Olsen's reacting to things, or what she's doing on screen in the story, or what's happening in the story and how she's reacting to it. Creates that uneasiness, and Liz Olsen nails that stuff. And then Paul Bettany, I tell you, he's been Vision / Jarvis for so long. We've just got this kind of monotone British guy in our heads, and you forget how freaking funny Paul Bettany is, and how he can just light up the entire screen. I was watching specifically the second episode, and with what's going on in his storyline, he really can lean into some ridiculous comedy and kind of stage presence show off. And I just sat there going, man, this is so reminiscent of his character from A Knight's Tale. And you forget, Paul Bettany is really good at that stuff, because he's been not that guy for so long, at least, in the mainstream movies that we see him in. You don't get to see him kind of play into that really comedic, able to just captivate an entire audience from a stage. And he gets to do that here, and he is captivating and absolutely hysterical, man. The two of them together playing this husband and wife, roles in the sitcom are just hysterical. But much like, Liz Olsen can snap you back, the way that Vision kind of reacts to things within the show, too, can snap you back to, don't let this funny facade fool you. There is something, I don't know if it's sinister or devious or what it is, but there is something not okay with what's going on here. And for me, that's what I was looking for in this show. In the first 2 episodes, they completely captured and nailed that, and I love it. And aside from all of that, The other thing too, before we get into the the other characters in the show, Max Shakman, who directs all 9 episodes, I really like what he's doing because, like I said, having that balance is very important, and he does it with the camera. He completely captures the style of the sitcom, but every once in a while the camera angle is changed where it's like, well, that wouldn't be in a 50s sitcom, or that wouldn't be in a 60s sitcom, or that's not how you would shoot that shot. And when they do that, it's when you're breaking away from it. So to visually cue your eye to go, hey, this is familiar to me, this is exactly how a sitcom looks and functions, hey, this doesn't feel familiar to me anymore. That visual change and cue, just in the movement of the camera, also can help instill that kind of uneasiness that then is poured on with the visuals and the storytelling. And I just think that through the first 2 episodes, he does a wonderful job. I love the look and feel of this show, and the vibe, like I said, that it's creating. The other thing that I love, too, are its additional characters. In episode 1, we get a lot of Fred Melamed and Debra Jo Rupp as Mr. and Mrs. Hart. They play Vision's boss. And that's another thing, too, that I love about the show is like the way they capture different elements of the sitcom world. You know, the job that the husband works at in these, 50 sitcoms. What are they really about? You know, where do you go during the day? Kind of exploring that. And Melamed plays his boss and nails that stuff. When the bit that we get in the office with him, fantastic. And then, obviously, like we've seen in the trailers, him and Rupp show up for dinner. And the whole dinner sequence is great. I just love the way that Melamed attacks that sequence next to Rupp, who just kind of counters him in ways where if you like Kitty from that 70s show, is Mrs. Hart going to make you laugh and smile, because it is Debra Jo Rupp just at her absolute best. And that counter, too, right? Like, everything about the show is balanced. The way that Melamed is kind of more of this, I don't know what's going on here, I'm a hard-ass boss. Mrs. Hart, and Rupp's delivery is far more in that I'm going to pick everybody up and make you feel better, and go help out and where I can. And I just love both of their appearances and the way they play into the story. Then there's a whole bunch of background characters that we've only gotten bits and pieces of that I like, that kind of populate the suburb that we're in. I hope that we get more from them, specifically the guys that are at not Night's Watch, the neighborhood watch meeting that Vision goes to. I like elements of that group, and I hope we get to play with it more. And some of those guys also work with Vision, so like that group is really solid. And like I said, I want to see more of. But then on the flip side, we also have a group of women for Wanda to go, spend time with. And there's a real Stepford Wives vibe going on with this group of women, specifically in the second episode when we get to meet them. It's one of those, like, this is the group of women who does all the event planning and fundraising and things in the town. And there's a real Stepford Wives vibe to it, and that's led by, I guess, the head mom or wife, so to speak, Dottie, who's played by Emma Caulfield Ford. Excellent, man. Like, she nails that, sitcom version of that type of a character, while also, like, totally delivering on that kind of uneasy Stepford Wives vibe. And how she plays into the episode, I just really dug. But naturally, I'm clearly just missing the real big standout aside from our leads, and that, of course, is Kathryn Hahn's Agnes, the crazy next door neighbor. And is she delightful, man? Like, Hahn just knows how to friggin' just deliver on that type of character. She is so over the top, so ridiculous, and like I said, playing inside of the sitcom bubble that we're playing in, she plays it pitch perfect, man. And again, laugh out loud funny, specifically when her and Wanda are interacting. I love watching Olsen and Hahn in these first 2 episodes. And even though, we get a pretty good amount of Agnes in each episode, but it's like evenly dispersed, where it's like she does, just like you would expect in the sitcoms, pop in from time to time. And her character is easily one of the biggest mysteries, besides just the mystery of what the hell is actually going on here, besides, Wanda having some sort of control in the manipulation of what's going on, of this reality. This is a House of M storyline. I don't know what to think of Agnes. I don't know if, it felt very much, the internet was obviously ablaze that first trailer that, Agatha Harkness. Like, it totally got those vibes. And maybe, but I'm not sure. And what the show is setting up with what's going on outside of the suburb. We haven't seen outside of the suburb yet. But what it is setting up, and what it's starting to do, I really, really am at a loss. Like, they could go so many different directions, and throughout the first 2 episodes, they kind of set up several different possibilities of things that could be either going on or influential with inside of the show, with the greater story that we kind of haven't really had too many. We've had a couple peaks of, and I'm pumped that there's like a legit mystery that, like, even with comic background and having decent ideas of where they could take the show, I really don't know what they're gonna try to pull off. But I'm really, really excited, and after these first 2 episodes, got some thoughts, and we will discuss those thoughts in the spoiler review. But for the non-spoiler, we've reached the end, man. I really, really dug these first 2 episodes, and I'm super excited about this show. I think, like I said, fascinating way to tell a story, not just from inside the concept of a show, but to tell a story that's going to be very, very, very important to the MCU. I think this isn't just kicking off Phase 4. Like, this show is going to have major ramifications for things to come. So I'm stoked. I can't wait to do this every week with you guys. But those are all my non-spoiler thoughts. Hopefully, the rest of the way they'll be a little bit shorter, because we won't go into, like, how, all the characters do what they do, because they're going to do what they do every episode. But, I'm digging WandaVision. The question is, are you, man? Have you woken up 3 o'clock in the morning, if you're on the East Coast like me, to check out WandaVision? Are you that in on it? Or are you watching this during the middle of the day going, man, I really dug that WandaVision show? Anything you're thinking, if you've seen it, man. Good, bad, indifferent. Do you like the style? Do you like the way they're utilizing the sitcom and utilizing those uneasy undertones? And, what they're doing with the sitcom stories. The 2 stories that we get inside of the first 2 episodes. Classic, sitcom material is just laced in there. And I love all of that. But on top of that, you got all this little Marvel sprinkles of things that could be going on. So, what? Don't spoil, but like, do you see things forming? Are you formulating thoughts and theories of your own that we can talk about on the spoiler review? So, like I said, anything good, bad, if you've seen the show, what's not working. For me, obviously, nothing not working yet, man. I mean, tight episodes. The 25 and 32 minutes, I think they were. So if you're digging that, much like The Mandalorian, shorter episodes, we knew that these were going to be sitcom formatted. So does that work for you? What are you digging, not digging? If you haven't watched WandaVision, have I enticed you to want to check it out? Hopefully, I have. Or have you just not gotten a chance to check it out yet, and we're just trying to gauge the vibe of the first couple episodes? Anything you're thinking, good, bad, indifferent about WandaVision, down below in the comments section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the old C-Man every Friday when we're talking about WandaVision, or you just dig what we're doing here and you want to show a little love and support to the old C-Man, well then please come join us here at the Cinema Sit Down. Join C-Maniac Nation by jumping over there, hitting that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts, and until next time, for the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down. Marvel Cinematic Universe is back, and it's so good. I love it. I can't wait to talk spoilers. But until then, for the C-Man Cinema Sit Down, I've been the C-Man, and I'm signing off. Peace. Well, that's all live and breathe. You still here? Check out a video like this one, or this one, and hit the subscribe button so you can get alerts and check out everything the C-Man's got at the Cinema Sit Down.